Hey guys, today we're bringing out the big guns. This is the Nikon 70 by 200 millimeter f2.8 VR2 lens. Now I know what you're thinking, why is he talking about an old lens like that? Yes, this lens came out in 2009, but there's a reason why I'm talking about it, because it is the best lens on the market in this range for Nikon, in my opinion. This thing is phenomenal, and when we talk at heavyweights, this is 3.4 pounds of lens. Now, even though it was made in 2009, it's still roughly holding the price tag it did from back then. That speaks volumes alone to how good this lens is, that it's still in such high demand. We're going to get into why I love it up next. Well, let's get into this. As I say, this thing weighs 3.4 pounds. It's metal. It's not plastic. It'll either have epoxy over metal or it'll have rubber over metal. But it's 3.4 pounds of metal. It does have seals inside, so it makes it more weather resistant, and it stops a lot of dust and sand and water and stuff getting into it. And it is an internal zoom. It doesn't extend in and out. Now let's have a look to see what came in the box with it. You get your standard lens hood, as per normal, your lens cap, and you get a foot to mount onto the tripod. And this will simply attach onto the bottom here, because you want this mounted on the tripod. You don't want your camera mounted on your tripod like you normally do. You want the lens mounted on the tripod, because as I said, 3.4 pounds on this little end on your camera. There's too much torque and weight on this. So you want the heaviest item always mounted to the tripod and the lighter off. It's like when I talked with the Osmo Pocket and you've got your cell phone hanging off on the end. Well, your cell phone weighs more than the camera, and you're going to bend or break that clip if you don't support the cell phone. And in this case, you need to support the lens, not the camera. And you're always best to kind of hold on to it this way with the body hanging off the back. Anyways, let's have a look to see what else you get in the box besides these two pieces here. A little bit of packing that the lens had come in, and you get a case. And as you can see, I have never ever used this case. It's got a nice handle on the top, hooks on the side, belt hook here, and Velcro attached with zipper down, which is kind of cool. And there is the strap, and you can see I've never even opened this. This sits in my normal backpack. I don't use the small one here. And there is foam in that in the bottom to protect your lens. So it's a good quality case. It is really nice. It's a good solid little case there. Let's see what else we get in here. Bunch of paperwork. So in here you get your manual on the lens in multiple languages, which is kind of handy. And as you can see, I always hang on to. You get your warranty card, additional information in multiple language, and this is your worldwide service card with your closest, or all over the world by the looks of it, of the Nikon service centers, so you can service this if you need to. As I say, I've had this since 2009, and I've not had an issue with it. Now, let's have a look at some of the main stats of this lens, and I'll just flash it up on the screen versus me babbling it at you. You can just have a quick look at it. So let's check it now. All right, while you were watching that, I tidied up a little bit so we could kind of get into this more. Now, this lens, ideally, is used for sports, action, concerts, fashion shows, event stuff. That's where this lens mainly comes into play. I was using it, and a lot of other people did, shooting models and portraits and that outdoors, because the background from this, oh man, dreamy bokeh backgrounds, fantastic. Stop that lens down to 2.8 and you can really blur out that background and separate your subject from it. And just phenomenal. I've got some images that I will be showing you later that I've shot with this lens, and man, amazing, absolutely amazing. And this thing is tack sharp. Now, honestly, I don't use it as much as I used to because I mainly shoot in studio now. But if I'm outdoors with a model and I'm doing any portrait work or any fashion work, then I always have this with me. And I tend to turn to this over the Tamron 90mm. This is a phenomenal lens. It's tack sharp, fast focusing. You don't get any chromatic abbreviation or anything else going on. There's barely any, if anything, noticeable on vignetting on it. It's an absolute phenomenal lens. So if you're into action and sports and wildlife and that type stuff, great lens. With the vibration system that's built into this, great for hand holding. So now, I did show you the little foot piece that attaches to the tripod onto the lens. I will show you right here, there's a little release tab right there, and that's how you release it. All right, so this just simply slides onto your lens like that. And then you tighten this down, and that's what holds the lens onto your tripod. And there's just a little release pin in the front, slides right off. Very handy. Make sure you don't lose it. I'm not sure where or how you can get another one. Nikon, you can probably get it from there, but I always kept it separate in my bag. But that's how you attach it on and off. Now, all your controls, because you notice there's no aperture on here because it's all done internally. But on the side here, and I'm going to put that little list up to show you what all these are and talk about each one. Now, you can see in the top here, you've got your focusing priorities. Now, you see the first one is A, then M, and then MA. Well, AM is automatic focus, then manual. The other one is manual, then automatic. Now, they're both basically one and the same. The automatic focus, when you partway to press the shutter, the camera will autofocus in both modes. Now, in the A versus the M, the A takes more of our priority. So when you go to manually focus, if you only just bump it a little bit, it won't do anything because it'll still stay in the auto function. Whereas if you're in the M/A, M being the capital, means it's taking priority on the manual focus. So it doesn't take a lot to release the camera, or the lens, sorry, into manual mode. It senses what you're trying to do and determines that you want to stay into manual. That's the difference between the two. They're both autofocused, but one takes priority on the manual focus. One's a little more sensitive for you when you're adjusting in manual focus. So if you want to fine tune it a bit, you can. But if you accidentally bump the focusing ring and you're in the auto/manual, it probably won't release and take you out of focus, and it'll still stay in the automatic, which is very handy. Now, the other one below that, or beside it, M, pretty self-explanatory, full manual. So you have full manual control on it, no autofocus whatsoever. Now, just below that, you have your, it's a focus limiter, kind of like the Tamron 90, the focus limiter on that, except this one does basically from infinity to 5 meters. I basically leave it in the full mode. As you can see, this is the settings where I basically leave it all the time. I don't bother playing with that. Now, below that, you have your VR, which is your vibration reduction system. Now, I always leave it on. If I'm mounting to a tripod, I turn it off, because sometimes, and there's great debates on this, and it's probably still going on, between having VR on a tripod. When your camera's mounted onto a tripod, the VR system is searching for vibrations and can sometimes introduce a bit of camera shake where there is none, and you can get a bit of a blurry image. If you're finding that's happening, try turning your VR off and seeing if there's a difference between the two. And you may find that it's VR that's causing your issue. So if you're hand holding, put the VR on. If you're not, then put it into the off mode when you're mounted on a tripod. Now, below that, I've got to read this again, you have normal and active. That's referencing to the VR. Now, if you're hand holding, you can use it in both normal and active. The active basically means if you're riding in a car, you're on the back of a dirt bike, you're on a boat, and there's motion, you want to go into the active mode because the system will detect that you have kind of a continual motion going on, and it'll help compensate that with the vibration reduction, which is very cool. Now, the VR on here is absolutely phenomenal, and you can actually hear it working when you're using it, but it allows me to handhold a lot lower shutter speeds than I normally could without it. For me, it is a game changer, especially like I say, if you're shooting sports or anything like that, the VR and stuff on here is phenomenal. So that's basically all the controls on here. If you have any questions about any of this, please leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you on that. But that is basically how I use it. That's the thought process on Nikon with this. It's a phenomenal lens. Let me put up some images that I did with this lens, and as I say, the background's absolutely phenomenal. That dreamy bokeh background. So I'm just going to fire up a few of the portraits that I've done with this lens just to show you the quality, and I mean we're talking tack sharp as well. I couldn't be happier with that. So let's have a look at some of the images right now. Well, there you go, a few sample images taken with this lens, and I have taken lots. I've done a lot of fashion work and portraits and models and all that outdoors. This is my go-to lens for that, because look at those backgrounds. They were absolutely amazing, and I can really blur and separate that model from the background outdoors. This thing's phenomenal. This is a pro quality lens. The build quality, amazing. Things I love, build quality. The VR, fast focus, tack sharp, low chromatic abbreviation, if any, and next to nothing for vinaigretting into the corners that I've discovered. This is one phenomenal lens. Yes, it's older, but this is fantastic. I absolutely love this thing. Now, if you have any questions or comments, leave it down below. If you have this lens, what do you think of it? Have you ever thought about buying it? I know the price tag scares some people off, but I tell you, it is worth every penny. Every penny. Such an amazing lens. Okay. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. Hit that bell notification so you're aware when I post new videos. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. So, until the next time.